Everyone, this is Julia. Welcome to another episode of Daily English Listening Practice on English Without Limit. If you're new here, this channel is all about helping you improve your English every single day with simple, clear, and interesting listening practice. We upload new episodes regularly so you can understand English better, learn new words, and enjoy listening while you relax or do your daily tasks. Today, I want to share some inspiring stories that will not only help you practice listening, but also teach you useful vocabulary for everyday life. Let's start with a story about Leo, a young man who learned the importance of being on time. One morning, Leo had a job interview at 9 a.m. He woke up early, got ready, and left his house at 8:15. But halfway to the office, he realized he had forgotten his documents at home. Instead of panicking, Leo stayed calm, returned home, and quickly picked up his papers. Even though he was 5 minutes late, he explained the situation honestly to the interviewer. The interviewer appreciated his honesty and gave him a chance. Leo learned that being prepared and staying calm can make a big difference. Have you ever been in a similar situation where you had to manage your time carefully? Think about a time when you were almost late for something important, like a school exam, a meeting, or a doctor's appointment. What did you do? Here's another story about Maya, a mother of 2 children who always planned her shopping carefully. One day, she went to the market without a shopping list. She bought many things she didn't need and forgot the most important item, milk for her baby. She had to go back again. From that day, Maya decided to write a shopping list every time. Now she saves both money and time. This story teaches us how planning helps in daily life. Do you use a list when you go shopping? It can be a small note on paper or even on your phone. Another short example comes from Rafi, who wanted to learn English faster. Every day, he listened to English podcasts for 20 minutes while cooking dinner. After a few months, he noticed a big improvement in his understanding. He didn't stop his daily routine, he just added English to it. You can do the same. While cleaning your house, walking in the park, or preparing tea, you can listen to English. This makes practice easy and part of your daily life. Now, let's think about a simple question. What is one small thing you can do every day to improve your English? Last time, I shared stories about being on time, planning your shopping, and learning English daily. Now let me tell you about Sam, a young man who learned the value of helping others. One rainy evening, Sam was walking home from work when he saw an elderly man struggling with heavy bags. The man looked tired and worried as the rain poured down. Sam offered to help and carried the bags to his doorstep. The man thanked him warmly and even invited him inside for a cup of tea to dry off. From that day, Sam felt happier whenever he helped someone. He realized that small acts of kindness can make a big difference in people's lives. Have you ever helped someone carry something? Open a door or cross the street? Even small actions like these can brighten someone's day. Here's another story about Lena and her husband Omar. They wanted to save money for their children's school fees. Every week, they wrote down their spending and looked at what they could reduce. They stopped buying snacks outside and started cooking more at home. After 3 months, they had saved enough money to pay for school and even had extra for new books. Lena said it wasn't easy at first, but writing everything down helped them stay on track. This is a simple example of how keeping notes and making small changes can help you reach a goal. What about you? Do you have something you want to save for, like a new bicycle, a family trip, or a useful course? Let's hear about Leo again from the first story. He decided to try something new at work. He suggested that his team share tasks more equally so no one felt too stressed. At first, people were unsure, but after a week, everyone noticed they had more time and less pressure. Leo learned that sharing responsibilities helps a group work better. Have you ever worked in a group at school or at your job? How did you share tasks? Did everyone help? Or did some people do more than others? Here's one more story for now. Nora, a young teacher, always smiled when entering her classroom, even on difficult days. Her students said they felt happier and more confident when they saw her smile. Smiling is free, but it can change how people feel around you. Do you smile at people you meet in your day? Maybe at the shop, at school, or when you greet your neighbors. It's a small habit that can bring big positive results. One day, Hassan, a taxi driver, had a very busy schedule. He had many passengers waiting, and the traffic was heavy. Suddenly, he noticed that one passenger had forgotten a wallet in the back seat. He had two choices: keep driving and finish his work, or return the wallet. Hassan decided to go back and return it. The passenger was so grateful that he gave Hassan a big thank you and later recommended his service to friends. This act of honesty brought Hassan more customers in the future. Honesty often brings respect and trust from others. Now think about a time when someone trusted you with something important. Did you keep that trust? Remember, trust grows slowly, but can be lost very quickly. Here's another story about Ela, a woman who wanted to start exercising for her health. She always thought that to get fit, she needed to spend a lot of money on a gym. But one day, her friend told her about simple exercises she could do at home. Walking in place, stretching her arms, and even using water bottles as light weights. After 2 months, Ela felt stronger and more active. She realized that taking small steps every day can create a big change over time. This shows us that you don't always need big things to start. Sometimes starting small is the key. Is there something in your life that you want to begin, but are waiting for the perfect moment? Maybe the best time to start is today. Here's another story about Umar, who once made a mistake at work. He accidentally sent an email with the wrong file to his manager. Instead of hiding it, he immediately told the manager and sent the correct file. His manager appreciated his honesty and quick action. Umar learned that admitting a mistake early often solves problems faster than hiding it. Mistakes are part of life. Have you ever made a mistake and then tried to fix it? How did it feel after you corrected it? Next, let's talk about Fatima and her children. Every evening, she spent 10 minutes asking them about their day. Sometimes they talked about school, sometimes about their friends, and sometimes about what they learned. These small conversations made her children feel safe and loved. Fatima said those 10 minutes were the most valuable part of her day because they built strong communication in her family. This is a good habit for everyone. Spend a few minutes asking family members how their day was. It makes people feel important and connected. Another story comes from Thomas, a young baker in a small town. One day, he gave a free loaf of bread to a hungry traveler who had no money. A week later, that traveler returned and bought bread for his entire group to thank Thomas. This story shows that kindness often comes back in unexpected ways. Have you ever done something kind without expecting anything in return? How did it make you feel? Let's hear about Sarah, who learned how to organize her day better. She used to do many things at once: cooking, cleaning, checking her phone, and reading messages. At the end of the day, she felt tired but did not finish everything. One day, she tried a new method, writing 3 important tasks each morning and focusing on them first. After a month, she noticed her days were calmer and her work was better. This is a useful tip. Write down what is truly important and start with that. It reduces stress and makes your day clearer. Here's a story about Yusuf, who always dreamed of traveling to another city to see his relatives. He often said, "One day I will visit them," but he never planned when. One evening, he sat with his wife Layla and decided to save a small amount of money each week. After 8 months, they finally had enough for the trip. Yusuf said that the journey was not just about travel, but about planning and taking action step by step. Dreams become real when we turn them into small steps. Is there a place you want to visit or something you want to achieve? Start with a small step today. Let me tell you about Emily, who once felt shy speaking in English at her workplace. She always stayed quiet in meetings. One day, she decided to prepare 3 simple sentences before each meeting: a greeting, 1 comment about her work, and 1 question for the team. Slowly, she gained confidence. After a few weeks, her manager noticed her effort and encouraged her even more. This shows that you don't have to speak perfectly at once. Start with something simple and grow from there. Another story is about Ibrahim, who wanted to drink more water every day for his health. He often forgot because he was busy at his shop. His friend suggested keeping a bottle of water on his desk. Every time he saw the bottle, he took a sip. After a few weeks, drinking water became a natural habit. Sometimes making a habit is just about making it easy to remember. What healthy habit would you like to start? Here's a nice example from Hannah, who decided to reduce food waste in her home. She noticed many vegetables were going bad before she could use them. She started planning meals for the week and freezing extra food. Soon, she saved money and reduced waste. Her children also learned not to waste food. Small actions like this can help both your family and the environment. Let us talk about Liam, a shop assistant who once faced a very rude customer. The customer shouted and complained about a small mistake in the bill. Liam stayed calm, apologized politely, and fixed the bill. After a few minutes, the customer calmed down and even said sorry for shouting. Liam learned that staying calm often turns anger into peace. Have you ever been in a situation where someone was upset with you even if it was not your fault? Staying calm is often the best answer. Another inspiring story is about Zara, who started reading 1 page of an English book every night before sleeping. At first, she thought 1 page was too little, but after 1 year, she finished 3 books. She said that 1 page a day is better than 0. Consistency is more important than speed when you want to learn something. Let us also talk about Ethan, who opened a small vegetable stall with his wife. Business was slow at first. Instead of giving up, they started greeting every customer with a warm smile and asking about their families. Slowly, more people started buying from them. They learned that being friendly is a free way to grow a business. Have you ever noticed how much a simple greeting can change someone's mood? Another good example comes from Sophia, who wanted to improve her cooking. She used to cook the same meals every week. One day, she asked her neighbors for their favorite simple recipes. She tried one new dish each week and slowly learned many new recipes. Her children loved the change, and now they all enjoy cooking together on weekends. Trying something new brings new skills and happiness to daily life. Now let me tell you about Khalid, a delivery worker. One hot afternoon, he was delivering heavy packages. A woman offered him a glass of water. Khalid said that small gestures like this made his work feel easier and less tiring. Sometimes showing care is very simple. Offering water, saying thank you, or giving a short rest to someone who is working hard. Another short story is about Nora, who once forgot her best friend's birthday. She felt very bad and wrote a handwritten letter with an apology. Her friend forgave her because the letter felt personal and kind. Nora learned that a sincere apology can fix many things. Have you ever said sorry to someone in a special way? Let us also mention Peter, who learned to fix things at home instead of always calling someone. One day, the sink was leaking. He watched a step-by-step guide online and repaired it himself. Not only did he save money, but he also felt proud of learning something new. Learning small skills like this makes life easier. Another story comes from Samira, a mother who encouraged her children to keep their toys after playing. At first, they did not want to, so she made it fun by using a small timer and saying, "Let's see if we can finish cleaning before the bell rings." After a few weeks, the children started doing it by themselves. Turning tasks into games can make children learn faster. And here's one more. David, a farmer, used to complain about bad weather ruining his crops. One season, instead of complaining, he started learning about better planting methods. He covered some plants with simple plastic sheets and saved most of his harvest. He said that changing his attitude from complaining to finding solutions changed his whole year. When something goes wrong, what do you usually do first? Complain or look for a solution? One afternoon, Ryan, a school teacher, noticed that many students in his class were always forgetting their homework. Instead of scolding them, he started a new habit at the end of each lesson. He asked the students to write their homework in a small notebook before leaving. Within 2 weeks, almost everyone was bringing their homework on time. Ryan realized that simple reminders can change a big problem into a small one. Think about your own life. Do you use reminders or notes to help you remember things? They are small tools, but they can save a lot of time and stress.
Here is another story about Yasmin, who worked in a busy office and often felt tired by the end of the day. One of her colleagues suggested that she take a 5-minute break every 2 hours to stand up, stretch, and drink water. Yasmin followed this advice, and after a month, she felt more active and less tired. Her work also improved because she was not feeling exhausted all the time. This shows how small breaks can make a big difference in our daily energy. Do you give yourself time to pause during the day? Now, let us hear about Michael, a carpenter who once faced a problem with his tools. One day, his hammer broke in the middle of his work. Instead of stopping, he borrowed a hammer from his neighbor and finished the job. Afterward, he repaired his broken hammer and returned the borrowed one with thanks. Michael learned that asking for help is not a weakness. It is a way to keep going when things go wrong. Sometimes we are shy to ask for help, but many people are happy to support if we ask politely. Another example comes from Lena, who wanted to improve her children's reading habit. Every night, she read a short story aloud before they went to bed. Slowly, her children started choosing their own books and reading by themselves. Now they read for at least 10 minutes every evening. Lena says that starting with a small routine turned into a lifelong habit for her family. What small habit would you like to build in your family? Let us move to the story of David and his wife Sabrina. They lived in a small village where water was often wasted. They decided to collect rainwater in a large container and use it for their garden. After a few months, their garden grew healthier, and they saved money on water bills. Their neighbors also started doing the same after seeing the result. This is a great example of how one small idea can inspire others in the community. Another story is about Hannah, who used to feel nervous when speaking in front of people. She always avoided giving presentations at her workplace. One day, her manager asked her to explain a project for just 2 minutes. She prepared well, practiced at home, and did it. People clapped for her effort. From that day, she slowly took more opportunities to speak. If you are afraid of something, start with a small step. 2 minutes can become 5, then 10, and soon you will feel more confident. Here is a story of Omar, who often argued with his younger brother about small things like sharing chores at home. One evening, instead of arguing, he sat down and asked his brother why he was upset. They both shared their thoughts and made a small plan. Each would do 3 tasks daily, and they would switch every week. The house became more peaceful, and their parents were happy too. Sometimes talking calmly is better than fighting. Let us also talk about Clara, who loved planting flowers. One day, she planted too many seeds in one small pot. The plants did not grow well because they did not have enough space. The next season, she gave each plant its own pot, and they grew healthy and strong. This story is like our life. When we try to do too many things at once, we often do not grow well in any of them. Giving time and space to each task helps it succeed. Another example is about Ibrahim and his shop. He used to throw away old cardboard boxes. One of his customers suggested that he recycle them by giving them to a nearby school for art projects. Ibrahim liked the idea. Now, the school uses the boxes for free, and he keeps his shop cleaner. Sometimes solutions are around us. We just need to listen to others. Here is a story about Rachel, who forgot to charge her phone one night. The next morning, she was waiting for an important call, but the battery died. From that day, she made a simple rule: plug in her phone before going to bed. This small habit saved her from many problems later. Do you have small habits like this that keep your day smooth? Another story comes from Jamal, a delivery driver who always greeted every customer with a cheerful, "Good morning." One customer once told him, "Your smile makes my day better." Jamal said that this simple action not only made others happy, but also made his own work feel lighter. Kindness does not always require money. Sometimes it is only a good attitude. Let us hear about Sophia, who wanted to improve her writing in English. Instead of writing long essays, she started with 1 sentence each morning in a notebook. Sometimes it was about the weather, sometimes about her breakfast, and sometimes about her plans. After a few months, her notebook was full and her writing improved. 1 sentence a day can become a whole story after some time. Here is another story. Bilal wanted to learn cooking because his wife was busy with their new baby. He started by making simple dishes like rice and soup. At first, another story is about Lena,
who used to keep many unused things at home. One weekend, she decided to give away clothes and toys that her family no longer needed. She donated them to a local center where other families could use them. After that, her home felt cleaner and more peaceful. Giving things you do not use anymore can help others and also give you more space. Let us talk about Robert, a farmer who once lost many of his chickens to a sudden storm. Instead of being upset, he built a stronger shelter and planted trees around it to protect them from strong winds. The next season, his chickens were safe. Problems often teach us how to prepare better for the future. Another example comes from Amina, who started practicing deep breathing when she felt angry. One day, her son spilled a glass of milk on the table. Before shouting, she took 3 deep breaths and then spoke calmly. Her son cleaned it up, and both of them continued their day without more stress. Taking a deep breath can change a bad moment into a calm one. Here's a story about Kevin and his wife. He wanted more customers to visit his store. Instead of spending a lot of money on advertising, he decided to keep the shop very clean and greet everyone politely. Soon, more people started visiting because they liked the good service. Good manners and a clean space often attract people naturally. Another story is about Noura and Hassan, a married couple who wanted to eat healthier. They started cooking together every weekend, trying new recipes with fresh vegetables. Cooking together not only improved their health, but also gave them more time to talk and share ideas. Sharing daily activities can make relationships stronger. Let us also talk about Adam and his secret project. He started tidying up his work area for 10 minutes every day. Everything had a place, and he kept the desk clean. After a month, his workspace was so organized, and he felt more focused when he worked. A small amount of time every day can make a big difference in how we work. Another story comes from Ela, who started a small notebook for her daily spending. She wrote every single coin she used. After 2 months, she found out where most of her money was going and changed her habits. Now she saves more and feels in control. Writing things down often gives us a clear picture of our life. And finally, for this part, here is a story of Jacob, who often forgot to say thank you to people helping him in small ways, like the bus driver, the shop assistant, or the neighbor holding the door. One day, he decided to say thank you more often. He noticed that people started smiling more and even greeting him back warmly. Gratitude is simple, but it creates a warm world around you. One evening, Samir, a shopkeeper, noticed that the lights in his store were often left on, even when no one was there. His electricity bill was high every month. He decided to place a small note on the wall near the switch, saying, "Turn off the lights when leaving." This small reminder reduced his bill and helped save energy. Sometimes small changes can bring big results. Think about your home or workplace. Are there small things you can do to save energy or reduce waste? Another story is about Fatima, a young woman who loved to drink tea every morning. One day, she realized she was buying tea from outside shops every day, spending more than she planned. She started making her own tea at home before going to work. Not only did she save money, but she also enjoyed a calmer start to her morning. Sometimes small home habits can save both time and money. Let us hear about Mark, a school bus driver. He always greeted the children with a cheerful "Good morning" when they entered the bus. One day, a little boy said, "I like coming to school because you make the morning happy."
Mark understood that even simple greetings can make a big difference in someone's day. Do you greet people warmly when you see them? Another story comes from Aisha, who wanted to keep her kitchen clean. She used to leave dishes in the sink for the next day, which made her mornings stressful. She started washing dishes right after meals. After a week, her mornings became easier and her kitchen stayed fresh. Small habits often build peaceful routines.
Here's a story of Hassan, a gardener. He always watered the plants in the afternoon when the sun was very strong. One day, his neighbor suggested watering in the early morning or evening because less water evaporates then. Hassan changed his routine, and soon his plants grew greener. Listening to advice from others can sometimes bring better results than doing things the old way. Let us also talk about Emma, a tailor in a busy market. She wanted more customers, but instead of waiting, she started giving small free repairs for children's clothes when families came to her shop. Parents appreciated her kindness and began bringing more clothes for paid work. Offering small help first often creates bigger opportunities later. Another story is about Kareem, who often felt tired because he slept very late. He decided to set a regular bedtime of 10:30 p.m. At first, it was hard, but after 2 weeks, his body adjusted. He started waking up early and felt more active at work. A regular sleep routine can make your whole day better. Here is an example from Ela, a woman who wanted her children to eat more fruits. They always chose sweets instead. She started cutting fruits into small, colorful pieces and serving them in a fun way. Slowly, her children began to enjoy fruits more than sweets. Presentation sometimes changes behavior. Let us hear about Sammy, who delivered bread every morning. One winter, his bicycle tire broke while he was far from home. Instead of complaining, he pushed his bicycle and still delivered the bread on time. Customers appreciated his effort and gave him extra tips that day. Effort is often seen and respected by others, even when things go wrong. Another story is about Rosa, who worked in an office with many colleagues. There was often confusion about who would clean the shared table after lunch. Rosa started a small cleaning schedule. Each person would take 1 day a week. Soon the table was always clean and everyone felt more comfortable. Sometimes taking the first step solves a problem that many people ignore. Here is a story of Fared, who wanted to drink less sugary drinks. He replaced them with water and fresh lemon slices. After 1 month, he felt healthier and lost some weight without trying too hard. Small changes in food and drink habits can lead to big health improvements. Another story comes from Sophia, who wanted to spend more quality time with her husband. They were both busy with work. They decided to have dinner together without phones 3 times a week. During that time, they only talked. After a few weeks, they felt closer and happier. Removing distractions can improve relationships. Let us talk about Jamila, who had a habit of forgetting her house keys. She often called her husband to bring them. One day, he suggested she place the keys in a small bowl near the door every time she came home. Since then, she never forgot them. Creating a fixed place for important items reduces stress. Another story is about Peter, who was learning English but often forgot new words. He started writing 1 new word each day on a sticky note and placed it on his mirror. Every time he brushed his teeth, he saw the word. After a few months, he remembered more than 100 words. Repetition in daily places can help memory. Here is a story from Ela and Omar, a couple who wanted to reduce arguments about housework. They made a simple chart on the wall. one column for tasks and one for who would do them. This way, there were no surprises and both felt fairly treated. Clear agreements often prevent conflicts. Another example comes from Henry, who wanted to save money on transport. Instead of using a taxi every day, he started walking to the nearby bus stop and taking public transport. This small change saved him enough money in a month to buy a useful tool for work. Looking for simple alternatives often saves money. Let us hear about Noir, a student who struggled to wake up early for school. She started placing her alarm clock far from her bed. In the morning, she had to stand up to turn it off. This simple action helped her wake up on time. Changing small positions in your room can change your habits. Another story is about Kareem, a shop owner who noticed that his workers were often tired in the afternoon. He started giving them a 5-minute tea break. They came back refreshed and worked better. Short breaks keep people productive. Here's a story of Samia, who loved baking but always burned the edges of her cakes. Her neighbor told her to lower the oven temperature slightly and wait a little longer. It worked. Now she bakes perfect cakes and even sells them at local events. Sometimes patience is the secret to success. Another story comes from Rashid, who lost his umbrella twice because he left it on the bus. He tied a small ribbon on the handle and kept it near his bag. Now he always notices it before leaving. Small visual reminders prevent loss. Let us talk about Huda, who wanted to make her morning better. She prepared her clothes and bag the night before. In the morning, she had more time for breakfast and reached work calmly. Preparing ahead saves time and reduces stress. Another example is about Thomas, who felt his phone was taking too much of his time. He started placing it in another room while eating with his family. Slowly, he began to enjoy mealtime conversations more. Reducing phone use gives more real connections. Here is a story about Rana, who used to water her plants inconsistently. She started setting a small reminder on her phone to water them every morning. Soon her garden thrived and she felt proud. Small habits like this make daily life smoother. Another story is about Ibrahim, who was a teacher who gave his students small positive notes when they improved. One note said, "Good effort today." Students felt proud and started working harder. Small words can inspire big changes. Let us also talk about Ahmed, who liked to read the news while eating breakfast. He changed this habit to reading one short English story instead. Over time, his reading speed and vocabulary improved. Replacing one habit with another can help learning. Another example comes from Salma, who used to forget her reusable bag when shopping. She placed one inside her purse so it was always with her. She stopped using plastic bags and felt happy about helping the environment. Keeping things ready saves both money and nature. Here is a story of Khalid, who worked in a repair shop. One day, he taught a young boy how to fix a small toy for free. The boy's father later brought many tools for Khalid as a gift. Teaching others often brings kindness back. Another story comes from Yasser, who wanted to control his sugar intake. He started reading labels before buying food. Soon he found better options and felt healthier. Reading before choosing makes a big difference. Today, I want to share a story about a man named Daniel who worked as a delivery driver. Daniel lived in a small town and his job was to deliver packages to different houses. One day, he was delivering a package to an elderly woman named Mrs. Harris. When he arrived, she smiled warmly and invited him to leave the box near the door. Daniel noticed that the package was very heavy and Mrs. Harris looked tired. He asked if she needed help carrying it inside. She was very happy and said, "Yes, please. That would be kind of you." After helping her, Mrs. Harris offered him a glass of water. They talked for a few minutes, and Daniel learned that she lived alone because her husband had passed away many years ago. He realized how much a small act of kindness could make a person feel valued. After that day, Daniel always greeted her kindly whenever he delivered something. This small story reminds us that helping others can create strong connections in daily life. Now let us think about the importance of listening carefully. Many English learners find it difficult to listen and understand every word. This is normal. Imagine you are at a busy market like Sarah was last weekend. She went to buy vegetables and fruits. There were many sellers shouting prices and many people walking around. Sarah wanted to buy fresh apples, so she asked one seller, "How much are these?" The seller replied quickly, $5 for 1 kilogram. Sarah listened carefully and repeated, $5? The seller nodded and she bought the apples. If she had not listened carefully, she might have paid more or bought the wrong item. This shows that in real life, we don't need to understand every single word, but we need to catch the main idea. Practicing with daily stories like this helps you become more confident.
Let us go to another example about making good decisions. A man named Mr. Parker wanted to buy a new chair for his office. He visited 3 shops. In the first shop, the chair was cheap but looked weak. In the second shop, it was expensive and very comfortable. In the third shop, the price was fair and the quality was good. Mr. Parker listened to each shopkeeper carefully and asked questions like, "What material is this made of?" and "Does it have a warranty?" Finally, he bought the chair from the third shop. This example shows how asking simple questions and listening to answers can help us make better choices. You can practice this by role-playing such conversations in English. Another story comes from a young woman named Laura, who moved to a new city because of her husband's job. She did not know anyone there. One day, she went to a park with her little son. A friendly woman approached her and said, "Hello, is it your first time here?" Laura smiled and said yes. They talked about the playground, the weather, and good places to shop nearby. That small conversation made Laura feel more welcome in her new city. This shows how small daily talks with strangers can help you practice English and also make new friends. You do not always need long sentences. Short, polite phrases are very powerful. Let us talk about asking for directions. A man named James was visiting a new city for work. He needed to find a bakery because his wife asked him to bring fresh bread. He saw an older man walking his dog and said, "Excuse me, can you tell me where the bakery is?" The man replied, "Go straight for 2 blocks, then turn right. It is next to the pharmacy." James repeated, 2 blocks straight, then right, next to the pharmacy. The man smiled and said, "Yes, that's right." James thanked him and found the bakery easily. This is a very simple way to practice listening. Ask, listen, and repeat what you hear. It makes communication clear and polite. Listening is not only about words, it is also about the situation. Let me share a moment from my own life. Once I went to a doctor for a regular checkup. The doctor explained some health advice, and I focused not only on his words, but also on his tone and gestures. He said,
Drink more water, rest well, and try to walk every day. His tone was calm and caring, so I felt comfortable asking more questions. If I only focused on each word, I might have missed the message. So when you practice English, listen to how people speak, not just what they say. Now imagine you are at a restaurant. A couple, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, went to have lunch. The waiter asked, "Would you like to see the menu?" They looked at the menu and ordered chicken soup and rice. Later, the waiter asked, "Would you like anything to drink?" They replied, "Just water, please." The food arrived and they enjoyed their meal. Before leaving, Mr. Johnson said, "The service was very good today." This kind of polite conversation is common, and listening to such interactions will help you in many real-life situations. One more story is about a young teacher named Emily. She was teaching children in a small school. One day, a student came to her and said, "Miss Emily, I forgot my homework." Instead of getting angry, she asked, "Why did you forget it?" The child explained that his baby sister was sick and he had to help his mother. Emily listened with care and said, "Thank you for telling me. Please try to do it tonight." This story shows that listening with patience can make others feel respected. Let us also talk about shopping, but this time at a clothing shop. A man named Mr. Ahmed wanted to buy a shirt for his wife's birthday. He asked, "Do you have this in a medium size?" The shop assistant said, "Yes, we do. Would you like to see it in blue or white?" Mr. Ahmed listened carefully and said, "Blue, please." He bought the shirt and left happily. If he had not asked clearly or listened well, he might have chosen the wrong size or color. Sometimes listening can help in emergencies too. There was a story about a woman named Clara. She was at a train station when an announcement said, "The train to Central City will leave from platform 2. Many people did not hear it clearly and went to platform 1. Clara, who listened carefully, went to platform 2 and caught the right train. This story reminds us that careful listening saves time and avoids problems. Let me share a family example. A father, Mr. David, was cooking dinner for his wife and children. His wife said, "Please cut the vegetables small. The children like it that way." He listened carefully and cut them small. At dinner, everyone enjoyed the meal. It may seem like a small thing, but listening at home makes daily life easier and happier. In your own English practice, try to listen to stories more than once. For example, if you hear this story today, listen to it again tomorrow. Each time you will understand more words and remember them better. This is like how Mr. Lee, a taxi driver, learned English. He listened to short English news every morning before starting work. At first, he only understood a few words. After some weeks, he understood most of it and could even talk with his passengers in English. There is also a story of Maria, who worked in a small bakery. She had many customers every day. Some spoke fast and some spoke slowly. She always listened carefully and repeated their orders. 1 loaf of bread and 2 croissants, right? The customers smiled because she repeated their words. This made fewer mistakes and made the customers happy. Finally, I want to share a story about planning. A husband and wife, Mr. and Mrs. Carter, wanted to paint their living room. They went to a shop and asked the worker, "What color is good for a small room?"
The worker said, "Light colors make a room look bigger." They listened. And there was once a young man named Peter who worked at a small grocery shop. He was always busy arranging fruits, vegetables, and other items for customers. One morning, a woman came to the shop and asked for some fresh tomatoes. Peter listened carefully and said, "Yes, we have fresh ones. Would you like half a kilogram or 1 kilogram?" The woman said, "Half a kilogram, please." He packed them and handed them to her with a smile. She thanked him and left. This may seem like a very simple moment, but it shows how asking and listening properly helps both people in a conversation. If Peter did not listen, he might have given her the wrong amount. Now, think about traveling by bus. A man named Henry often traveled to work by bus. One day, the bus driver announced, "This bus will stop at Green Street first, then at River Road." Mr. Henry was reading a small book, but he listened carefully to the announcement. Many other passengers missed their stop because they were not listening. Mr. Henry, however, got off at the right place. This shows how important it is to stay alert when you hear information in public places. It can save your time and prevent mistakes. Another interesting story is about Mrs. Kahn, who enjoyed baking bread at home. One afternoon, her neighbor came and asked, "How do you make your bread so soft, Mrs. Kahn?" She explained step by step. "First, I mix the flour with warm water. Then add a little salt and yeast and let it rest for 1 hour." Her neighbor listened carefully and even wrote it down. A few days later, she baked her own bread and it turned out very well. Listening carefully to instructions like this helps us learn new skills faster. Let us think about a school situation. A student named Daniel was in his science class. The teacher said, "Tomorrow we will have a test about plants and their parts." Some students were talking and did not hear it. Daniel listened carefully and prepared for the test. The next day, he answered the questions correctly while others were confused because they missed the information. This is a simple example of how listening carefully in school or at work helps us do better. Sometimes listening is also about showing respect. Mr. and Mrs. Brown were sitting with their children after dinner. Their little daughter said, "Today, I helped my friend pick up her books when they fell down." Their parents listened carefully and smiled and said, "That was very kind of you." By listening to her, they made her feel proud and happy. In many families, listening like this builds trust and strong relationships.
Let me share another travel story. A man named Ahmed visited a city he had never been to before. He needed to go to the post office to send a letter to his brother. He asked a passerby, "Excuse me, how can I get to the post office?" The passerby said, "Go straight, cross the traffic light, and then turn left. You will see it near the library." Ahmed repeated the directions in his own words to make sure he understood them. Because of this, he found the post office easily. When we repeat instructions, we confirm our understanding and avoid mistakes. Think about a workplace example. A woman named Sophia worked as an office assistant. Her manager told her, "Please send this report before 3 p.m. and also remind Mr. Lee about the meeting tomorrow." Sophia wrote down the instructions and repeated them to make sure she understood. Send the report before 3 p.m. and remind Mr. Lee about tomorrow's meeting, right? The manager smiled and said yes. Sophia completed the task on time. This shows that careful listening and confirming details help avoid problems at work. There is a small but powerful story about kindness, too. Mr. Thomas was standing in line at a bakery to buy some bread for his wife and children. In front of him was an elderly man who looked confused. The cashier said, "Your total is $8. The old man gave only $5. Mr. Thomas gently told him, "Sir, it is $8. The old man thanked him and paid the correct amount. This small moment made both of them feel good, because listening carefully can help not only us, but also others. Now, think about a time when you go to a doctor. Mrs. Patel went to see her doctor because she had a cold. The doctor said, "Take this medicine 3 times a day after meals and drink warm water." Mrs. Patel listened carefully and even asked, "Should I take it before or after food?" The doctor replied, "After meals." She followed the advice and felt better in a few days. Many people forget such details because they do not listen carefully. So always ask again if something is not clear. Another helpful example is about a farmer named John. He had some chickens and wanted to sell eggs at the market. One day, a customer asked him, "Are these eggs fresh?" John replied, "Yes, they were collected this morning." The customer smiled and bought them. This small conversation not only made a sale, but also built trust between John and his customer. Listening carefully and answering clearly is important in both business and daily life. Sometimes advice from others can make life easier. For instance, a man named Paul wanted to fix a leaking tap in his kitchen. He asked his neighbor, who was skilled in repairs, "How should I fix it?" The neighbor said, "Turn off the water first. Then open the tap and change the washer." Paul listened carefully, followed the steps, and solved the problem quickly. Listening attentively can save both time and money. Now, think about learning English. A woman named Hannah listened to English audio stories every evening after cooking for her family. At first, she understood very little, but she kept listening daily and repeated new words she heard. After a few months, she began speaking simple sentences with her children. Her children were happy to learn with her. Small daily listening habits can make a big difference over time. Another story is about Mr. and Mrs. Adams. They went to a furniture shop to buy a table. The shop assistant said, "This table is made of solid wood and comes with a 1-year warranty." Mrs. Adams asked, "Can you deliver it on Friday?" The assistant replied, "Yes, we can deliver it on Friday morning." They listened carefully, placed the order, and the table arrived on time. Listening well helps avoid confusion about dates and details. One day, Mr. Richard, a school bus driver, had to change his usual route due to road work. He told the children, "Today we will take a different road, but we will reach school on time." The children who listened carefully were not worried, but the others kept asking, "Why are we going this way?" This shows how a small piece of information can make a big difference if you pay attention. Let's talk about Mrs. Grace, who worked in a library. One afternoon, a boy asked, "Do you have books about animals?" Mrs. Grace replied, "Yes, they are on the second shelf near the window." The boy listened and found the books easily. Later, he came back to thank her. Simple directions like this are everywhere. Practicing how to ask and listen carefully will help you in libraries, shops, and even airports. Another example is Mr. Lee, a gardener. His wife said, "Please water the plants in the evening, not in the afternoon because the sun is too strong." Mr. Lee listened and watered them at the right time. The plants stayed healthy and green. Listening carefully at home helps daily life run smoothly. There was a young couple, Mr. and Mrs. Wilson, who wanted to save electricity. They attended a small workshop at their community center. The instructor said, "Turn off lights when not needed, unplug chargers, and use energy-saving bulbs." They wrote down the tips and followed them at home. After 1 month, their electricity bill was lower. Listening carefully can save money too. In a busy street market, a man named Sam was buying vegetables for his wife. The seller said, "These tomatoes are $3 per kilogram and the cucumbers are $2. Sam listened, calculated, and bought only what he needed. Careful listening prevents mistakes. A man named Adam worked in a small bakery. Every morning he prepared bread and pastries. One day, a boy asked, "Do you have chocolate croissants today?" Adam smiled and replied, "Yes, we have 10 fresh chocolate croissants. Would you like one?" The boy nodded, gave him money, and Adam handed him the croissant carefully, saying, "Enjoy your breakfast." The boy left happily. Listening carefully to simple requests makes customers feel valued. Paying attention to small details is important in every conversation. A woman named Ela took the train to work every day. One morning, the conductor announced, "This train will stop at Central Station and then at East Park." Ela listened carefully and prepared to get off at the right station. Many passengers were talking and missed the announcement. Ela arrived on time and could attend her meeting. Listening to announcements helps us reach our destination without problems. Another story is about Mr. and Mrs. Hassan. They wanted to plant flowers in their garden. Mr. Hassan asked, "Which flowers bloom in summer?" Mrs. Hassan replied, "Marigolds and sunflowers bloom well in summer." They planted the flowers together, and soon their garden was colorful and vibrant. Listening carefully to each other makes teamwork more successful. Think about learning new skills. A young man named Thomas wanted to make coffee at home. He watched a video and listened carefully. The first time, he added too much sugar. He watched again, listened carefully, and tried again. This time, his coffee was perfect. Listening and repeating instructions helps improve skills quickly. A small bookstore owner named Sarah often had visitors asking for recommendations. One day, a man asked, "Do you have books for beginners learning English?" Sarah listened carefully and suggested a few titles. The man bought 3 books and thanked her. Listening to customer needs helps make people happy and improves business. A boy named Daniel wanted to find his friend in the park. A passerby asked, "Are you looking for someone?" Daniel replied, "Yes, my friend is waiting near the fountain." The passerby said, "I saw someone your height wearing a blue shirt over there." Daniel thanked him and found his friend easily. Listening carefully to directions from others can solve small problems quickly. In a classroom, a student named Omar asked his teacher, "When is the homework due?" The teacher replied, tomorrow before the first lesson. Omar repeated, tomorrow before the first lesson. The teacher nodded. Omar completed his homework on time. Repeating instructions ensures we understand them correctly. A young couple, Mr. and Mrs. Parker, wanted to buy a new washing machine. The salesperson explained, this machine has a timer, energy-saving mode, and a 2-year warranty. Mr. Parker asked, can it wash 7 kilograms of clothes at once? The salesperson replied, yes, it can. They bought it and used it successfully. Asking questions and listening carefully helps us make the right choices. Ahmed often walked to work. One rainy day, he asked a passerby, is there a shop nearby where I can wait? The man said, yes, go straight and take the second left. There is a cafe there. Ahmed repeated the directions in his mind and found the cafe quickly. Listening and remembering directions is a useful skill in daily life. Mr. Johnson wanted to teach his children how to wash dishes. He said, first rinse the plates, then use soap, and finally dry them. His children listened and followed the steps. The dishes were clean, and they learned a useful skill. Clear instructions and careful listening help families work together efficiently. A woman named Fatima wanted to learn how to ride a bicycle. Her husband, Mr. Rahman, said, hold the handle tightly, keep your balance, and pedal slowly. Fatima listened and practiced every day. After a few weeks, she could ride confidently. Listening carefully helps us achieve new skills. Kareem wanted to buy vegetables for his wife. He asked a seller, how much are these carrots? The seller replied, $2 per kilogram. Kareem repeated, $2 per kilogram? The seller nodded. Kareem bought the carrots and was satisfied. Confirming information by listening carefully prevents mistakes. A young teacher named Emily noticed that some students were shy to speak. She said, today I want each of you to tell a short story about your day. One student, Ali, started quietly. Emily listened patiently, encouraged him, and repeated parts of his story. So, Ali, you went to the park with your sister. Ali nodded happily. Listening carefully helps students gain confidence in speaking English. Mr. and Mrs. Smith wanted to plan a short trip to the countryside. They asked a travel agent, which route is fastest to reach Green Valley? The agent replied, take the highway. It will take around 45 minutes. Mrs. Smith repeated the directions to confirm. They followed them and arrived on time. Listening carefully while planning trips makes travel smooth and stress-free. Daniel saw an elderly man struggling with a heavy bag. He asked, do you want me to help carry it? The man smiled and said, yes, thank you very much. Daniel carried the bag to the car. The elderly man said, you are very kind. Listening to someone's needs and offering help creates positive connections. Sarah wanted to make pasta for her family. Her husband said, boil water first, add salt, then cook the pasta for 8 minutes. Sarah listened and followed the steps. The pasta turned out perfectly, and her family enjoyed dinner. Listening carefully in the kitchen prevents mistakes. Michael went to buy shoes. He asked the salesperson, do you have size 42? The salesperson replied, yes, we have black and brown. Michael said, I will take the black ones. He tried them on and bought the shoes. Listening and responding carefully ensures smooth shopping. Lena wanted to improve her English.
Every day, she listened to a short story and wrote 5 new words. After 1 month, she had learned 150 words. Listening daily, even for a short time, builds vocabulary steadily. Mr. Robert, a gardener, noticed his plants were not growing well. A neighbor said, "Water them early in the morning before the sun gets too strong." Mr. Robert listened and changed his routine. Soon, his plants were healthy and green. Listening to advice improves results in life and work. A family, Mr. and Mrs. Clark with their children, went to a restaurant. The waiter said, "Today we have grilled chicken and vegetable soup." Mrs. Clark asked, "Can we have 2 servings of soup and 1 chicken?" The waiter nodded. They enjoyed the meal. Listening carefully ensures correct orders. Omar wanted to ask his teacher about a homework problem. He said, "Excuse me, can you explain question 3?" The teacher replied, "First, read the problem carefully, then underline the main points, and finally write your answers step by step." Omar listened and completed the homework successfully. Listening helps us complete tasks efficiently. Jack wanted to exercise every morning. His wife suggested, "Start with a short walk for 10 minutes, then try stretches." Jack listened and followed the advice. After a few weeks, he felt stronger and more active. Listening to small advice can lead to big improvements. Lena wanted to take the bus to the library. The driver announced, "This bus will stop at Oak Street, then Pine Avenue, and finally the library." Lena listened, noted the stops, and got off at the right place. Listening to public announcements helps avoid mistakes and saves time. Mr. Admin wanted to buy a small table online. He read the description carefully and listened to his wife's advice about measurements. The table fit perfectly in their living room. Listening carefully prevents problems in online shopping. Huda wanted to use a new phone. Her husband said, "First, charge the phone fully, then follow the setup instructions on the screen." Huda listened and set it up successfully. Listening to instructions for technology saves frustration and time. Adam worked in a coffee shop. Every morning, he greeted customers with a smile. One day, a customer named Mr. Clark asked, "Do you have cappuccino today?" Adam replied, "Yes, fresh cappuccino. Small or large?" Mr. Clark said, "Large, please." He served it carefully with a small cookie. Mr. Clark smiled and said, "Thank you, this looks perfect." Listening to questions and responding politely makes people feel valued. Fatima often took the subway to work. One morning, the conductor announced, "The next train will stop at Central Avenue, then at Park Street." Fatima listened and prepared to get off. Many passengers missed their stop, distracted by phones. Fatima reached her destination on time. Listening to announcements is very helpful in daily life. Mrs. Elena taught English at a small school. One student, Allie, had difficulty with new words. She said, "Listen carefully and repeat after me. Apple, banana, orange." Allie repeated the words, practiced daily, and soon could use them in sentences. Listening carefully and practicing helps learners remember new information. Omar went to a store to buy vegetables. He asked, "How much are these carrots?" The shopkeeper replied, $3 per kilogram. Omar repeated, $3 per kilogram? The shopkeeper nodded. Omar bought the carrots and left. Confirming information by listening carefully prevents mistakes. Rachel sold handmade jewelry at a market. A customer asked, "Do you have bracelets for children?" Rachel listened carefully and showed a few designs.
The customer chose one and thanked her. Listening attentively helps in business and daily life. Daniel lost his ball in the park. He asked a passerby, "Have you seen a red ball?" The man replied, "Yes, near the big tree over there." Daniel followed the directions and found his ball. Listening carefully to directions from others solves small problems quickly. In a classroom, a student named Alex asked his teacher, "When is the homework due?" The teacher replied, "Tomorrow before the first lesson." Alex repeated, "Tomorrow before the first lesson." The teacher nodded. Alex completed his homework on time. Repeating instructions ensures we understand them correctly. A young couple, Mr. and Mrs. Brown, wanted to buy a new washing machine. The salesperson explained, "This machine has a timer, energy-saving mode, and a 2-year warranty." Mr. Brown asked, "Can it wash 7 kilograms of clothes at once?" The salesperson replied, "Yes, it can." They bought it and used it successfully. Asking questions and listening carefully helps us make the right choices. Ethan often walked to work. One rainy day, he asked a passerby, "Is there a shop nearby where I can wait?" The man said, "Yes, go straight and take the second left. There is a cafe there." Ethan repeated the directions in his mind and found the cafe quickly. Listening and remembering directions is a useful skill in daily life. Mr. Wilson wanted to teach his children how to wash dishes. He said, "First, rinse the plates, then use soap, and finally dry them." His children listened and followed the steps. The dishes were clean, and they learned a useful skill. Clear instructions and careful listening help families work together efficiently. A woman named Mia wanted to learn how to ride a bicycle. Her husband, Mr. Carter, said, "Hold the handle tightly, keep your balance, and pedal slowly." Mia listened and practiced every day. After a few weeks, she could ride confidently. Listening carefully helps us achieve new skills. Noah wanted to buy vegetables for his wife. He asked a seller, "How much are these carrots?" The seller replied, $2 per kilogram. Noah repeated, $2 per kilogram. The seller nodded. Noah bought the carrots and was satisfied. Confirming information by listening carefully prevents mistakes. A young teacher named Emma noticed that some students were shy to speak. She said, "Today, I want each of you to tell a short story about your day." One student, Liam, started quietly. Emma listened patiently, encouraged him, and repeated parts of his story. "So, Liam, you went to the park with your sister?" Liam nodded happily. Listening carefully helps students gain confidence in speaking English. Mr. and Mrs. Green wanted to plan a short trip to the countryside. They asked a travel agent, "Which route is fastest to reach Green Valley?" The agent replied, "Take the highway. It will take around 45 minutes." Mrs. Green repeated the directions to confirm. They followed them and arrived on time. Listening carefully while planning trips makes travel smooth and stress-free. Daniel saw an elderly man struggling with a heavy bag. He asked, "Do you want me to help carry it?" The elderly man smiled and said, "Yes, thank you very much." Daniel carried the bag to the car. The elderly man said, "You are very kind." Listening to someone's needs and offering help creates positive connections. Olivia wanted to make pasta for her family. Her husband said, Boil water first, add salt, then cook the pasta for 8 minutes. Olivia listened and followed the steps. The pasta turned out perfectly, and her family enjoyed dinner. Listening carefully in the kitchen prevents mistakes. Michael went to buy shoes. He asked the salesperson, "Do you have size 42?" The salesperson replied, "Yes, we have black and brown." Michael said, "I will take the black ones." He tried them on and bought the shoes. Listening and responding carefully ensures smooth shopping. Lena wanted to improve her English. Every day, she listened to a short story and wrote 5 new words. After 1 month, she had learned 150 words. Listening daily, even for a short time, builds vocabulary steadily. Mr. Robert, a gardener, noticed his plants were not growing well. A neighbor said, "Water them early in the morning before the sun gets strong." Mr. Robert listened and changed his routine. Soon his plants were healthy and green. Listening to advice improves results in life and work. A family, Mr. and Mrs. Clark, with their children, went to a restaurant. The waiter said, "Today we have grilled chicken and vegetable soup." Mrs. Clark asked, "Can we have 2 servings of soup and 1 chicken?" The waiter nodded. They enjoyed the meal. Listening carefully ensures correct orders. Omar wanted to ask his teacher about a homework problem. He said, "Excuse me, can you explain question 3? The teacher replied, "First, read the problem carefully, then underline the main points, and finally, write your answer step by step." Oman listened and completed the homework successfully. Listening helps us complete tasks efficiently. Jack wanted to exercise every morning. His wife suggested, "Start with a short walk for 10 minutes, then try stretches." Jack listened and followed the advice. After a few weeks, he felt stronger and more active. Listening to small advice can lead to big improvements. Lena wanted to take the bus to the library. The driver announced, "This bus will stop at Oak Street, then Pine Avenue, and finally the library." Lena listened, noted the stops, and got off at the right place. Listening to public announcements helps avoid mistakes and saves time. Mr. Ahmed wanted to buy a small table online. He read the description carefully and listened to his wife's advice about measurements. The table fit perfectly in their living room. Listening carefully prevents problems in online shopping. Olivia wanted to use a new phone. Her husband said, "First, charge the phone fully, then follow the setup instructions on the screen." Olivia listened and set it up successfully. Listening to instructions for technology saves frustration and time. Adam worked in a coffee shop. Every morning he greeted customers with a smile. One day, a customer named Mr. Clark asked, "Do you have cappuccino today?" Adam replied, "Yes, fresh cappuccino, small or large?" Mr. Clark said, "Large, please." Adam served it carefully with a small cookie. Mr. Clark smiled and said, "Thank you, this looks perfect." Listening to questions and responding politely makes people feel valued. Fatima often took the subway to work. One morning, the conductor announced, "The next train will stop at Central Avenue, then at Park Street." Fatima listened and prepared to get off. Many passengers missed their stop, distracted by phones. Fatima reached her destination on time. Listening to announcements is very helpful in daily life. Mrs. Elena taught English at a small school. One student, Liam, had difficulty with new words. She said, "Listen carefully and repeat after me. Apple, banana, orange." Liam repeated the words, practiced daily, and soon could use them in sentences. Listening carefully and practicing helps learners remember new information. Omar went to a store to buy vegetables. He asked the shopkeeper, "How much are these carrots?" The shopkeeper replied, $3 per kilogram. Omar repeated, $3 per kilogram. The shopkeeper nodded. Omar bought the carrots and was satisfied. Confirming information by listening carefully prevents mistakes. Rachel sold handmade jewelry at a market. A customer asked, "Do you have bracelets for children?" Rachel listened carefully and showed several designs. The customer chose one and thanked her. Listening attentively helps in business and daily life. Daniel saw an elderly man struggling with a heavy bag. He asked, "Do you want me to help carry it?" The man smiled and said, "Yes, thank you very much." Daniel carried the bag to the car. The elderly man said, "You are very kind." Listening to someone's needs and offering help creates positive connections. Olivia wanted to make pasta for her family. Her husband said, "Boil water first, add salt, then cook the pasta for 8 minutes." Olivia listened and followed the steps. The pasta turned out perfectly, and her family enjoyed dinner. Listening carefully in the kitchen prevents mistakes. Michael went to buy shoes. He asked the salesperson, "Do you have size 42?" The salesperson replied, "Yes, we have black and brown." Michael said, "I will take the black ones." He tried them on and bought the shoes. Listening and responding carefully ensures smooth shopping. Lena wanted to improve her English. Every day, she listened to a short story and wrote 5 new words. After 1 month, she had learned 150 words. Listening daily, even for a short time, builds vocabulary steadily. Mr. Robert, a gardener, noticed his plants were not growing well. A neighbor said, "Water them early in the morning before the sun gets strong." Mr. Robert listened and changed his routine. Soon his plants were healthy and green. Listening to advice improves results in life and work. A family, Mr. and Mrs. Clark, with their children, went to a restaurant. The waiter said, "Today we have grilled chicken and vegetable soup." Mrs. Clark asked, "Can we have 2 servings of soup and 1 chicken?" The waiter nodded. They enjoyed the meal. Listening carefully ensures correct orders. Omar wanted to ask his teacher about a homework problem. He said, "Excuse me, can you explain question 3? The teacher replied, "First, read the problem carefully. Then, underline the main points. And finally,